Ready for some more Counter-Strike.
I'll tell you someone who isn't going to be very fresh today. The whole EnVy team. I was down in the lobby this morning having breakfast. Those guys look beat. I mean, that game yesterday, just to recap for those that maybe didn't catch it, epic quadruple overtime, 69 rounds, I think it was.
And MR5 overtime, not just like MR3 and lots of them. So it was like over 2 more maps, basically.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's a ridiculous amount.
A 69-round overtime. Those guys were here till about 1 a.m. local time. Absolutely grueling. And like I say, we'll have a look at the bracket actually quickly and just bring that up for you guys at home so you can see how the tournament's been so far. So before we go into the epic EnVy and NiP game, obviously the game started with a bit of a surprise actually the tournament got off to, with TSM 2-0ing Fnatic, the team that many consider the best in the world, to put TSM in the upper bracket. Guys, what's the significance of that? I mean, that was a huge upset, right?
Well, yeah, especially because it came on the back of the Fnatic guys not being able to get that many CT rounds, and that's usually the backbone of where you know they're going to manage that, then let's see how they do on the CT side. But they were having huge problems on their own CT side, so it looks like of all these 4 teams at the moment, Fnatic's come in with the worst form of everyone. EnVy, at least in their series, they had a chance to win in 2 maps. They had very good on the first map. They had some form on the second one, so coming into this match now, even though historically we'd always favor Fnatic, EnVy's coming in with a stronger form, even though they're in the lower bracket, I think.
And just to bring the bracket up again for a moment so we can show you the other game, of course, it was that epic 69-round encounter with NiP and EnVy. And what happened there was, I mean, NiP came on stage, they did their interview, we had Get Right say that they were going to crush them. Didn't quite go that way,
not really.
But they did win, and this is the first time they've beaten them in 5 series, I think it is, in offline tournaments. So let's talk about the significance of that for NIP just quickly before we look to EnVy ahead of this Fnatic matchup.
Well, they already, I guess, had some kind of psychological block against EnVy, losing so many times, and the worst thing was, it's not like they lost really badly the first time, but then they improved. Actually, it had gotten the other way. They'd started off quite competitive against EnVy in those series, and they were getting worse. It looked like they had less chances. They didn't know what maps they could go to. Whereas now, okay, it's not like they clean swept them here. It wasn't like Katowice, but they won like a kind of gutsy series where they really battled, and they found maps that maybe, hey, maybe we can pick Mirage against EnVy in the future. Yeah. Dust 2 worked out pretty well. That's supposed to be EnVy's best map in some senses. So I feel like there's a lot of good things here for NiP, aside from just winning the series. Like going forwards, they have some ideas of what they can do next time. It wasn't just like a fluke win on overtime. No, they had some legit answers maybe they found to the riddle that EnVy poses for them.
So obviously that means NiP and TSM are in the upper bracket final. Let's just talk a little bit. I mean, you've been a pro. You've been in some absolute slobber knockers, long games in the past. You know what it's like. How much does it take out of you? How are the EnVy players going to be feeling today on stage?
I mean, considering they lost, they're going to be on the short end of it. I mean, NIP is going to be hyped up about winning that. So, of course, the factor comes into play where the lack of sleep is obviously going to be there, concentration-wise, and all those factors. Considering when you play CS, it takes so much energy out of you. You need to concentrate 150% through a long period of time, especially a best of 5, a best of 3, and against Fnatic. You know, it is the smallest details that make a difference in a match of Counter-Strike, so it could come into play for sure.
Now, one of the things that everybody wanted to see was how EnVyUs were going to do against Fnatic. This is, in your top 10 especially, this is the #1 and the #2 team going up against each other. It's super surprising that it's happening in the lower bracket of the tournament. So
one of them's going to go home.
Yeah, exactly. One of these guys is going to go home.
That's weird.
So, I mean, it's a little bit of a strange situation. But let's just quickly talk about the significance of these 2 teams coming up against each other. Does it still have significance because it's in a lower bracket?
I think so, because, I mean, history tells us whoever wins this match has still got a very good chance of winning this whole tournament. Might just go through the lower bracket, might win anyway. I mean, these teams have won from the lower bracket before. Fnatic won ESEA Season 17 from the lower bracket. The one 2 ago, not the recent one against Virtus Pro. They won Fragbite Masters from the lower bracket. So these 2 teams are so incredible that if one shows here that they're in really good form, the upper bracket results might not matter. They might still win this whole tournament. So I still think this is the #1 versus the #2. The other teams, they still have some more to prove if they want to leapfrog these 2 teams. And crucially, beyond where it is in the tournament, these 2 teams desperately want to beat each other. Even though Fnatic have won a lot of the other ones recently, they don't want to give that up to EnVy now and have lost to TSM and EnVy, and everyone's wondering, is Fnatic even the best team anymore? Meanwhile, for EnVyUs, it's been so long since they actually beat this team in a best of 3. It was only that crazy one at DreamHack Winter, which didn't even end satisfyingly because it was ending with a forfeit on the last map. So EnVy is still looking for that first real 100% legit. We got to 16 rounds on the second or third map, win over Fnatic. So it's a big deal for these guys, win or lose.
So we're going to bring up the picks and bans. I don't know if they'll appear on the screen behind me. Oh, no, here we go. It's actually going to, you're going to be able to see this at home now. So let's go through these picks and bans. So Fnatic, they chose to ban Dust2, first of all. Like, just a quick few words about the significance of that, Natu?
I mean, they probably feel it's one of those bans where they just feel EnVy's stronger than them, basically.
And then we had Envious remove Nuke. That's not a surprise. Envious, that's their go-to ban.
It's also a go-to ban for Fnatic, but crucially, Fnatic have tried it a couple of times against Envious, and they've beaten Envious every time on it. So I think it was obvious on Envy's side they couldn't leave it in and risk that, because they know that even though the two teams don't play it, Fnatic have been better in the matchup.
And then Fnatic selected Mirage. I mean, what's the significance of this? A little bit of a strange pick, do you think?
No, I don't think so. It's a very, very good map for Fnatic. They're phenomenal on it, and crucially, the Envious guys haven't been playing it, and then they've tried it recently, but not only, okay, they beat Nip on it, who wasn't even a Mirage team themselves, but now that Nip beat Envious yesterday on Mirage, I think it only bolsters it for the Fnatic guys that, hey, let's just go ahead and pick this. Now, what's interesting is maybe the Envious guys were trying to like psych them out and think, okay, well, they'll pick Inferno, so then we can like ban away Mirage later. That's like one of those scenarios where you're not sure, but instead it's gone this way where Fnatic just decided, right, let's take Mirage. It's one of our best maps, but it's also one that Envy don't play.
But Envious have picked Inferno.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing. Here's why, though. Fnatic is the best Inferno team ever in CSGO. They're the best team right now. They have an 80+% win record offline, but one of the only teams in the whole world who have a winning record against them offline on it is Envious. And Envious think they're the best team on Inferno. Now, the stats don't actually show that. Interestingly, their stats are about only 50% win rate on it in the last sort of 5 or 6. But they are still a very good Inferno team. Those games they're losing are also to the best Inferno teams, by the way, like NIP when they were very good, TSM now. They're not Titan, obviously. They're not really losing to bad teams. So that's certainly a big statement there, because when you look at the map pool here, with the history of Fnatic on Inferno, if they were to lose now, Envious could be granting Fnatic like a 2-0 here. This is I'd say the two best maps for Fnatic, actually. So big, bold move by Envious.
And that brings us to the third map that gets banned here. So Fnatic, they banned Cash, which, I mean, Fnatic have been picking Cash, and Fnatic have been, playing it, and they consider themselves a very good team on it, Nati.
Yeah, I think it's a matchup thing here. They just feel like the matchup against Envious on Cash is not favorable for them.
Any ideas why?
That's a very good question, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe they've just been watching and felt like, okay, the way they play is something that we're not probably the best playing against.
I think for that one, it's just recent form, because actually Fnatic doesn't lose to Envious on Cash. That's the map that they beat them on. But recently, Cash is the map that Envious looks the scariest on. They're beating everyone. They're beating people like 16-2. Interestingly, JW actually stood in for that property team at Gfinity and lost 16-0 on Cash. So he knows these guys are just phenomenal on it. So in terms of the maps that's left, it is interesting that Fnatic would gamble banning it. Because if I was them, even though it's a very strong map for Envious, I'd want that as my third map, because I know it's still a map I'm very good on. I'm one of the best on it. Instead, by banning it out, they've gambled that the only two maps left, remember, at that point is Cobblestone and Overpass, and neither teams love those maps, so...
Well, I mean, Envious, I think, are quite accomplished. I mean, they've done all right on Cobblestone in recent events. They've got a reasonable record on there, but they actually did elect to ban that as the fourth map there, so that was removed, which leaves us with the three, Mirage, Inferno, and Overpass, which I think is a very intriguing series. We'll just hone in on Mirage for a little bit and talk about the players. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is, obviously, as I said, and as I tweeted out, people who follow my Twitter obviously will have seen this, I did have breakfast with Devil Walk, and he said yesterday...
That sounds like a rubbish movie, mate.
Yeah, breakfast with Devil Walk, it really is. But it was a good breakfast, though, which is the important thing. I was talking to him, and he said that, all credit to TSM, they played really well, but actually, we overdid ourselves. We kind of psyched ourselves out a little bit because we focused on anti-strats, and we didn't play our own game. Now, what does that mean within the context of them picking Mirage here? Is that significant within... Does it look like they're maybe anti-stratted Envious here, or are they playing something they feel comfortable with?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it could come into play where they saw the match EnVy versus NIP last night on Mirage, so they have some recent viewable content on EnVy on Mirage. Other maps, they haven't seen them play here yet, so it could come into play. But again, it comes into play whether they are overthinking it or not, because actually, a lot of the times teams seem to overanalyze and like sort of the best way to approach so-called anti-stratting is to sort of have tells and like understand the tendencies of the opposing team, not completely anti-strat. That's just going to be totally, you're just screwing yourself in your mind if you if you will, if you do anti-strats 100%. So mostly you just want to have sort of tells and understand the way they want to play and like to play.
Well, I mean, you know, they said they had to spend so much time on anti-strats because obviously they haven't played. You know, they took a break since that major win, and that was why they kind of felt a little bit over-reliant on it. Duncan, what can you tell us about Fnatic's strengths on Mirage?
Well, interestingly, that's why it's interesting that they're going to get to play Mirage and Inferno, because when they're at their best, I've always said the guy who was the foundation is Crims. He's so solid, and these are his two best maps. Him and Olaf M both play the same sites, A on Mirage and B on Inferno, and that combo in those two sites is the best in the world. Like the way they play off each other is amazing on both sites. Interestingly, they play a different role in terms of this map, because on Inferno, it's Crims who just stays in the site, and then Olaf's the rotator, but actually it's Crims who does the rotating. He plays the connector here on Mirage, and their coverage on that A site is absolutely amazing. The A site is supposed to be on Mirage, the site that you at least know you can get into. Like, at least if you put the right flashes down the smoke, you'll get to the bomb spot. You might have a chance to plant, then it's an after plant situation. When Fnatic gets a lockdown on Mirage, you don't even get into the A site. So they are absolutely one of the best CT teams in this in the world. Now, they haven't had to play it so much. It's been a map that people often actually banned against them, didn't want to play, especially EnVy just did not. They refused to play it against them, quite frankly. So I'm more interested to know, like, what have EnVy got for this map, because they haven't played that map very much recently. So, I mean, even though I said coming into this particular match, like, okay, the form's definitely on the side of EnVy. Fnatic haven't looked good since Katowice, but there's like a famous saying in sports that says, form is temporary, class is permanent. And I've always felt that. Like, that's why I tend not to predict too much based on recent form, because that was yesterday. Today, if you do the mental reset and you go back to what you're good at on the maps, unless players are just playing poorly, I think Fnatic should be favoured to be as strong on this Mirage map. It should be their map.
Well, we'll talk about EnVy in just 1 second, but I'll come to you, Natu, and just ask you the question. I mean, Duncan makes a very good point. We all consider Fnatic the best CT side, you know, in the world when they're playing to their strengths. But yesterday, they were really struggling to put CT rounds on the board, on all the maps they played. So, do you think they're going to be able to do that here? I mean, what's been going wrong for them? Where's the malfunction?
I think to look at this matchup here, it's an interesting dynamic where EnVy is really good. They like T-side, exactly. They are very good on T-side, and you have Fnatic, who is traditionally a very good CT team. So, I mean, it's a play where Fnatic just they're gonna just focus on their normal thing, to just do the business, so to speak. And EnVy, they probably think, you know, we have the tricks that we need to have to beat that Fnatic defense.
It's the classic irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that irresistible force. Let's talk about EnVy just quickly before we get into the game and talk about some of the strengths that they have. I mean, we know they're great entry pickers. We know guys like Shox, when he wants to play, can absolutely take anyone down, just crisp one bullet aim. But, you know, it's been Happy and MBK that really stood up yesterday. So what are the features of play we're going to see from EnVy here against Fnatic?
Well, that's why I'm most interested, because if Fnatic turns up to play, if they just do what we know Fnatic usually does, it'll be strong CT sides. It'll be strong defensive lockdown play. So then the question for EnVy is not, oh, can they be better on CT side? Because that's what happened when EnVy couldn't beat Fnatic. That's when Fnatic was the best team in the world, when EnVy was sort of like a mini Fnatic. They were just trying to do the same thing, win all the CT rounds, win Inferno every time, win Dust 2, like trying to play Fnatic's game wasn't working for them. Well, the style now, like I mentioned yesterday, was EnVy now is like the best at getting all the little extra bits out of the abusive areas of the game. Doing these crazy buys where it's like one AK, one SMG, one pistol, like it just one guy has a Molotov. These weird buys that aren't like standard. There's no flow chart as to when you should do that, but they have a logic in mind of like, okay, well, I know when I came through here last time, if I'd have had a smoke this time, I could have gotten to this position. So they're trying to use tricky plays, basically. And usually, if you're the best team in the world, you have the standard plays, you know. So I want to see how that will work against this Fnatic. Like, if this Fnatic has any problems on their CT side, that's where the EnVy team can break it open. They can suddenly be tearing it up on T side, which is what TSM did against Fnatic, and Fnatic couldn't stop them. But if Fnatic can play the way they did before, I actually think they're one of the few teams who have the answer to this style of EnVy, where they can shut down some of that entry fragging and actually kind of frustrate the EnVy guys. Because the thing about EnVy you have to watch on their T side is there is almost no round that they don't buy. They never do full Glock save. They don't even usually do a full Tech 9 save. They're the guys who will always get, if someone has the money, he's buying the AK no armor, he's buying Galil no armor, he's buying a Scout, and then the others are getting the Tech 9s. So they're a team where they've just decided we're going to win T rounds. It doesn't, like, if we lose, we're going to buy again next round, we're going to buy again next round. So the problem with that is they're so good, they have such skilled players that they can make it work, and it's rare they do lose a big string of rounds on T side. But if you could make them lose like 4 rounds in a row, they will absolutely have screwed themselves, in that scenario. You'll be ultra punished for such greed in terms of buying.
And we saw MBK abusing the jumping scout quite a lot yesterday, one of the features of the play. So look, just quickly, because we really want to get to our casters and get this game going, let's just pick out a duel, a player from each side who you think is going to really shine on Mirage. I'll go to you first, Martin.
From Fnatic side, for me it's between JW and Olofmeister really. I'm going to say Olofmeister to pick off from Fnatic, and I'm really looking forward to Shocks from EnVy.
Yeah, I mean, Shocks looked a little bit sleepy this morning in the lobby, I won't lie to you, but this is a map, that he can abuse if he wants to. He's a fantastic entry picker and a very flamboyant player. Duncan, your picks?
I mean, I'm going to go for Crims for Fnatic, because the position he plays, especially on this map, if he's really good, that's where the CT side is just monstrous. They're almost unbeatable when he's on his game. But yeah, that's the thing, he hasn't actually been on his game for quite a while now. It's Olof who's kind of took over, really carrying them. It's been a while since we saw the godlike Crims. For Envious, I'm going to go with Shocks as well, actually, because I think, I would say the player who can have the most impact on T-sides is Kiyashima, but yesterday he was doing awesome. In that game, the overtime going, he was having crazy kills and it didn't win them the game. So I think it's if Shocks has his T-side game going, his picks, then you have two really good entry fraggers, and then you can just tear them apart on T-side, which is, on this map, it's supposed to be hard to get sort of the 7-8 T rounds. Well, that can happen if Shocks is on form.
So thanks a lot for that, guys, and let's get this game underway. I can't wait to see this. This is the game that people have been wanting to see for so long. The top two teams in the world going at it, surprisingly in a lower bracket, but it's still going to have incredible value. We're going to go now. It's going to be Mirage, Fnatic versus EnVyUs. We're going to go to our casters, Sadakist and Toby1. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is time to finally get ourselves underway as we go into map number 1 of EnVyUs versus Fnatic. I'm Toby1 here with Sadakist.
How are you?
Should be a fantastic series.
It should be actually a really good series. And I love that we're starting off on Mirage. I think they broke it down very well. The other aspect is that we get to see how JW adapts. We haven't really seen him post-patch with the AWP and the window CT side. He's very dynamic there. Obviously looks for the initial pick. The smoke comes in. As soon as that does, he normally drops. He has Crims to support him from connector, then can slide back up through connector, back to window. He's just constantly moving around the map and getting a lot of different angles and different reads on the enemy. I mean, he covers off underpass essentially himself with an AWP. So I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to see if he's affected or not. Obviously, yesterday, not so much. He was jumping around corners and scoping after he went for the initial peak. So if that's the case, he's not going to be slowed at all. But we're going to have a knife. We've got a lot of people on one team, though.
Yeah.
Judging by this camera angle, there's about 10 CTs.
Might be a small problem. Might be a small problem. For me, I actually want to look at the other players. Like, I know the guys on the panel are trying to highlight like the big players. Like you think of the names like JW, like Shocks, to see what's going to come out from Fnatic. But what about the other guys? What about the guys who you're not really feeling like the full presence? In fact, our man who's now left the server as well. Like, how big is Kyo going to step up? MBK had, I would say, not the greatest day yesterday. He hit definitely some great shots, but like I remember on the long A, he was having some real problems in their game up against NIP. So what's meant to happen now with like how do you boost up? Try and get your entire team to function.
Well, that's the
or
thing.
Just look for the highlight pickers.
You kind of have to do it on an individual basis at this level. These guys have been around long enough that it's not like one player is suddenly going to pep talk them into it. They know what they have to do, and I think Kyo, yes, was excellent, but Shocks does need to come alive. NBK actually had a number of entries, but we got a knife. We going for it?
You can if you want.
All right, we're going to go for it. Fast round knife here. And Flusha already coming in. And NBK goes right back into him, but Answer coming over the top as JW jumps down from the top of the balcony, already in the shadow. And look at the up the ladder, just like a pogo stick. Already Pronak's going to catch NBK, though, and Smiths gets caught out, so it's only one player remaining, and it's Shoxy, and he's running around. He's got the IE on his name, and already with two, making a third. No, Olaf's going to catch him, and now we're going to see JW start out exactly with that op on the CT side. So Fnatic win it. Shoxy's got the IE, though. I did notice that. So he's back to Shoxy, and that's usually when he wants to play stylish.
Beautiful style for the knife round for yourself, Sadakist. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
That's our attempted horse race commentary. All right, so let's get into our game, and let's see also how EnVyUs are able to deal with this. EnVyUs, they only just came off this game, and I correct what I said before, for EnVyUs, where they just left this map last night. Like, they finished this at 12:30, technically this morning, and now they're back here. So it's all started again. They've played the same record before, and it's just a different opponent now.
I mean, let's put it this way. It's good that their sponsor's Monster Energy, because they're going to be exhausted. They would have needed it last night. And I mean, Richard made a good point. The adrenaline was pumping after that matchup. They had a tough time getting to sleep last night, and I mean, that's understandable, but hopefully they aren't asleep to start things off, because as MBK said, they need every round against Fnatic. And Fnatic's already starting out CT.
Yeah. So, initial pistol round. Who's going to get that early advantage? And EnVy, how aggressive do you want to be? So far, they are looking to try and push up. And in fact, Pronax already getting a little bit of vision. Able to see a couple of the EnVy players pushing up into the apartments area. And also very quickly, JW as well as Flusher. They want to keep tabs. Pronax already opening up the account on MBK. He has to reposition. He knows there's that flank going to be coming in pretty shortly, but EnVy, they're onto the side at least. And Smith, there he is. He finally brings down Pronax, but the rest of the supports arrive from Fnatic coming in through short A. The bomb plant does go down, a 4-on-3, but JW and Olaf, they're opening up. It's all up to Happy, and he's, well, he's actually going to drop inside of the kitchen. So an easy defuse, and Fnatic will take round number 1.
Oh, do it, JW. Knife him.
No.
No, they won't. So easy defuse. Now, important part of this is that EnVy does get at least a bomb plant. So look for them to go for a full save in this round and potentially get into guns a little bit earlier on, but excellent shot by Pronax to start things off. The important part was Happy was behind them. He could have done a bit of damage and got himself some economy to potentially buy into this. Actually, wow.
Yeah, that's a heavy buy.
Wow, that's a very heavy buy. NBK goes straight to an AK.
And one of the very few times, actually, yeah, for him, I'm actually looking at Fnatic as well, where we're not seeing the mass amounts of SMGs. We've got the P90, the M4's up and running too. And if MBK loses this AK, he's going to be, well, pretty well crying himself. So Crims will be quite happy to switch out for it. So Envious. It looks like they're just having a look over towards A again. And Fnatic are getting as much information out of mid as possible, and they just can't find anybody.
I think they also glass cannoned on NBK. It's not really glass cannon, he has armor, but I think Smith's had to have dropped that. I didn't see the start round money, but where he's got armor and AK and Smith's no armor, I think he bought the AK, and they're giving this full faith Superman play on NBK.
And he's still the one coming up through the stairwell. So he might be able to tank up the initial hits. If this doesn't work, already the spam comes out. The grenade going to be in a really great position. Crims from inside the shadow takes 1, takes 2, takes 3. JW will also mop up Smith, and Happy again, the last man standing for 2 rounds in a row, battling in the mid up against Flusher, but the Pro 90 comes out on top. 2 rounds to 0, Fnatic. Keeping the momentum up, and Envious with the aggressive buy.
Yeah, look at Crims with that triple kill with the SMG. 5,200 to start out round number 3 already. Question is, how much do they want to upgrade? I mean, look at those shots. It's just so easy when you can dart in and out with that movement speed. JW contributes with 1, but now it has to be, okay, so we get 1 Tech 9. Now it has to be that full save. That early bomb plant really meant nothing. They tried to abuse the second round buy. We've seen Envious come out in forced buy situations quite effectively, but the up-close play catches them off. And only 1 upgrade. So they stay with 2 SMGs. It's Olaf that goes to the FAMAS.
Yeah. And the fact that, like Crims, you just throw away the SMG so into your AK, which you just stole from Envious, so you don't even have to spend the money for that. So wonderful. Crims already opening up with that AK, killing off MBK, the man who held it before. And this push from Envious, well, it was meant to be an eco, and at least they got 1 onto Olaf. Potentially 2, but not going to happen.
And the question is, do they throw away the UMP and grab the FAMAS? Pronax, I don't think he got there.
He threw it, but yeah, he
the
lost his
SMG
weapon.
and didn't actually get the FAMAS, so he'll have to upgrade to a rifle regardless. So he gets to the M4, but that cost them a few extra dollars that they would have likely wanted to hold on to. Nonetheless, we do have the AKs out now for Team Envious. We'll see how the default's going to run. Only 1 op out. It's JW, and he's actually not headed directly toward window. He's playing it inside the A site. This puts more pressure onto Crims. He's going to rotate now late.
Yeah,
but they have to play passive because look how much information's already been given up. They've already got a close smoke on Cat. That allows Keo around the corner. NBK into the cubby, and Shox, he's already up from underpass. And with the late smoke on window, JW can't even find that out. So they've got full control of mid. The only thing that they don't have going is a smoke to cover off Crims on the top of connector.
Flush is looking for a nice little angle. Well, Crims has got his own nade to help him out with that. As Shoxy right in front of him, and Crims just opens up through the smoke. That was a spray and pray feeling is going to come in. They're actually boosting up on top of the boxes. So now Pronax can get some level of vision, realize that MBK ran up through the vents. He's got another one in window, Smiths. He's going to get pincered in here in a moment. Olaf. Actually, they've already moved out. He's underneath shadow. So they're keeping very, very sporadic distance here, Fnatic. They've only got 3 players for the cover. But JW sitting on CT stairs. And Flusher as the man is probably going to have company shortly.
And it looked like the initial play was actually to work Catwalk, as they did put out that connector smoke late. Crims caught off Pronax inside, or pardon me, NBK inside of it, but the counter smoke came out on Catwalk, and they basically got stuck in mid. That window boost was really the only thing that opened the round back up, and now they're going to head it toward B, and it's Flusher that's waiting in behind the van.
Still managed to tag him up quite heavily. All the players from Envious No one's above 50 HP. At the same time, JW down to 13. And the choice is, do you save the AWP and look for the exit frags? It looks to be the case, because you're still trying to get in there with too low life.
Yeah, Flush has got okay money, as does Crims, based on the start they had, but the rest of them aren't exactly in the most comfortable position, so it's still worth it, especially for JW, $350. If you want to keep the AWP out for him where he's most effective, you got to save it right now. So quite an obvious call. They won't really go for the chase here either. They might find Olaf, who's inside apartments. Actually, he's hoping they're going to run that direction. They're not, but they're all low HP. There's no point for them on going on the hunt either. And actually, one goes down to the bomb. That's actually Happy dropped late to the bomb on Catwalk, so that's one other gun gone.
Problem with being so low, you think you got enough life to get away from that. And he was already pretty much a cat already. Like, he got out of short A, but blows up with it, which means the money's a little bit short. MBK, in fact, he is going to buy up that Galil. But it means you've only got the 4 AKs for Envious as we go in again.
And again, because they saved those 2 rifles, easy force up for the rest of Fnatic. Like we said, Flusha had great money, as did Olaf.
JW switching it up, actually missing on that jump too, but Pronax already opens up on Smiths. As they look towards that mid, Shoxy moving very aggressively up towards the connector. He's got support by MBK, who's sitting at top mid where the bomb is currently dropped.
And that's the thing with Fnatic. JW gets smoked off a window. Crims has to play passively because they're already working on A's. He catches Shoxy now as well, but then Flusha steps up. They've got 3 approaches of attack on middle. Their mid is so aggressive at the start of a round. And Flusha just slid out from Catwalk, fired through that close smoke, and just annihilated it. Envious, and now they're down to just 2 players remaining, NBK of which has only 3 HP.
Yeah, I almost want to say like 1 and a bit worth of players left remaining for Envious. Pronax still worried about that mid movement. But that's why JW's managed to push all the way up through apartments, coming in below them.
Does have to be worried about that close angle, though, because if he overcommits with the scope and overpeaks, it's an AK to pop out.
Well, there's that jump down, missing the first AWP shot. Happy, able to get the revenge with the AK. That first shot needed to connect from JW, and that means now Happy's walking away with the AWP. He's got 30 seconds on the clock.
He did lag him up, though, so 27. Pronax is in a good position, as is Crims under Shadow, and they've committed to A with 20 seconds, like you said, so they're in good position to hold this site out. And again, they're very weak, but Happy's going to find Pronax. That opens things up a little more. They need to make sure they check off on Crims, and they don't. He's already found the first, and Olaf on the backside. They will easily walk up and catch Happy out. So one more kill that probably shouldn't have gone their way. That's at least some consolation, but the round's going to go Fnatic's way.
That was actually really nicely done by Fnatic. So you keep the 1 player in Shadow. That's exactly where Envious was looking, as the 1 player they knew the position of. But because you have to move in, he's so far in the corner, you had to expose yourself to the guy on the CT stairs, and then Fnatic can play with the crossfire. So they get 4 rounds to 1 so far, and Envious again back into pistols. But yeah, we got Fnatic there. They're a little bit worried about Envious when they go into a pistol round. Where is that aggression going to come? They've already got the vision on mid where there was basically no one showing themselves.
And they're going for proximity. Coming up from the underpass gives them the best chance, but look at the nades coming out. The fire damage as well from JW thrown from the window, and Crims is just going to wait. Perfect anti-eco. Only 20 damage dealt in return. Flusha tanks that, but 5 rounds now for Fnatic, and that was flawless. I wanted to see if JW was going to actually drop down. That was actually what I was pointing to you at the minimap, just to be aware, because that's normally where he jumps down, and they would have had a lineup on him with pistols rushing toward him.
It would have been terrible for him.
Yeah, exactly.
But instead, he stays up. They read the round properly, that Envious was running around with the pistols, and again, it's going to be the same kind of thing.
Although they're playing JW off spawn points, so he had an A spawn this time. He'll go the long way into connector rather than try and get late to window.
He's going to get no information at mid. Olaf is the only man properly on that A side, while Fnatic, they heavily stack to the B. Now in comes that pressure, so Olaf's going to drop quickly. JW doesn't really want to keep fighting this one. Maybe go for a couple of these picks like he did just then on MBK. But there's still an AWP up against 4 AKs that have control of that A site, which Fnatic now must retake.
And they went for that early B
Don't worry about Firebox. Yep, Flusha. He knew it. Shoxy forced back out. JW's the one to get the kill, looking towards Sandwich as well. They're just picking every single corner so efficiently, and the defuse inside the smoke. They just cannot get themselves back on the side, Envious.
Happy was in a good position for a flank, but read perfectly by Pronax, so he picks that one up as well. I was going to say that with the pistols pouring into the site like that, playing it passively, getting the bomb down is at least a bit of a victory, because now we're going to get the double op set up as we're on full money bonus plus the bomb. So we'll see if Happy and Smiths can open up something, because so far the early picks have not been going their way.
Yeah, this really needs to be their round. Envious needs something to gain some level of momentum back up against Fnatic. The double AWPs is their way. It's Envious. They love running them.
And again, a massive change-up. JW goes to B this time, and he's, actually caught off by Happy, so that's an opening pick. That forces Flusha back off the catwalk. Pronax is aggressive in middle, and Olaf had to find that kill on Shox, or Pronax was a sitting duck.
And Pronax is still going to go down anyway. And to join him is going to be Olaf. So it's up to Crims as well as Flush, the last two remaining defenders from Fnatic. Crims has still been having a fantastic game. He's the top fragger for Fnatic. In fact, the top fragger in the server at the moment. But currently, he has no idea where EnVy want to bring this bomb. So they're going to play a little bit closer towards each other. Crims and Flusha walking close enough that they can potentially hold hands.
And they're going to group back with the bomb, but where do they group? It's going to be over toward A. NBK's made the call. I'm
actually liking this from Flusha. If he moves fast enough, he can come around the back of EnVy.
He won't
so
get there.
Then they can get some level of crossfire. It'll be rough. It'll be rough to get there. In fact, he just has to start running now, but he's got no information. In fact, Yurike, he's considering it, and EnVy, they're thinking about it.
I mean, there's tons of money for Fnatic. So at this point, it's not worth it to go for the full save. Oh, Happy's going to hear him coming. Happy hears Flusha, so he may not get anything from this flank. MBK's already found Crims. I was going to say it'd be worth it to get some guns out of their hand, but that's not even going to happen.
No. That was an attempt from Fnatic. If they could get there in position, then you have the crossfire. You get EnVy, even though they've got the player advantage, having to look in two different directions to defend up against Fnatic. But without the initial kill, you can't keep the guy inside jungle. You can't keep the crossfire going. And that means now that EnVy, they do have their second round. They hold on to their orbs as well. So no money being lost in JW.
Wow,
I'm loving his diversity with all the positions he's played so far.
It is good, because he was actually, there was a point in time back in January, in fact, specifically at X Games, when then Team Dignitas, now TSM, read exactly what JW doing. They were throwing out the window smoke. JW was trying to body block it, and they would time it so that device would just slide out and get the pick early. But look at JW already in this round. Happy taken down, and he's definitely throwing them off because he's coming from very different angles, as Pronax now is going to find Shoxy. Keep in mind, this also reset the money bonus for EnVy. As Smith slides out, gets in behind the boxes, tries to find the angle toward Catwalk. There's two players there. They're likely going to go for this boost. In fact, that's exactly what they're doing. JW already above, and does he scope it in time? Drops down, catches Smith's off. That's your op down, and your bomb dropped inside mid as well.
Yeah, and this is really problematic now for EnVy. 2-on-5 situation. The nades dropping JW so low, he wants to back up. At the same time, MBK might better get a quick little hit on him as the flash comes in, allowing for Pronax to have a little bit of a look to see if MBK is still up there. He is the last man left standing up. The mid was mopped up, and well, there goes Pronax. JW, that's that AWP on low life, and well, Flusha will do the work for them. When that bomb was dropped in mid, the only thing he could have gone for was frags that MBK.
Flusha's very good. He's another player that, much like Get Right, is perfect at reading when to fall off the catwalk from middle and cover off onto the B apartments. And yeah, you're just pointing out Kiyoshima only on 1 kill so far. Same with Shox. In fact, there's your 2 entry fraggers.
Yep.
They said it at the analyst desk. Kyo was excellent yesterday. If Shox steps up, then their T side has a real chance on entering. But when they're not finding anything,
yeah,
that speaks for itself.
So those guys, like, to find some openings somehow. And EnVy's been playing pretty open. Like, look for a pick in mid, look for a pick over on B, but now it's going to be a little bit more of a tighter commitment, mainly because they don't have these rifles anymore. So they come in, and they do actually manage to get that kill on Crims.
NBK, though, he's the one that comes in and aggressively, but look at the counterplay from Fnatic. JW, Flusha make it now 2 for JW on the assist, and Flusha cleans up Kiyoshima as well. It looked like they might have had an entry on the back of NBK. He was the one with the rifle, so he went in first, and then they were going to run him behind and go for the pistol train, but they couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, that's the same play that EnVy ran just a few rounds ago, 6 rounds ago, as they try to get in with that early AK buy, but this time around, even though they do get that kill on Crims, who's been holding so tight on that A site, just unable to capitalize. JW, a quick move to watch for the mid. He just has to go for the blind shots. There's too much smoke, and he actually gets Shoxy through the smoke, realizing they're running in through Cat. The secondary smoke completely taking out his vision. He goes for a second pop. But EnVy, again, they keep losing players as they try and secure mid.
And HP. I mean, Kiyoshima's on 31 right now. Smith's on 18, and Smith is trying to find the angle toward JW. It's actually NBK who gets aggressive. JW misses out twice, but Crims is there to back him up.
Smith is waiting for that peak again. But he's so low on life. At least Happy is now able to find 2, getting up through the apartments. And securing B-side by himself. At least that's what he thinks right now. JW, he gets him as well. Happy going big For EnVy, he's worried about the kitchen player. At the same time, EnVy,
Crims is going to spot as soon as if Smiths breaks out that vent, Crims is in perfect position to hold him out of it. And with low HP, it'll be an easy play. Instead, he's just going to sit back, see if he can catch off a rotator. He may actually now get Crims when he rushes past the ladder if he stays quiet.
Olaf.
As Happy's already found Olaf, so with this bomb down, Crims is going to get caught. He's going to walk immediately into Smiths. And patience pays off. They'll pick up round 3.
That they will. Olaf tried to go 1-on-2. Didn't get the initial hit on the man running back to the van, so then gunned down by the man at wall. And EnVy, they have some extra hope now on this T side, as Fnatic looked like they were just going to steamroll their way through map number 1. But 8 rounds to 3. Still a large amount of money in there for Fnatic. They are forced into only 1 FAMAS. But it's a full gun round, really. JW again looking for these early picks on mid.
Late smoke out again, and look, he has a shot. Late smoke, and Shoxy gets caught again.
That's 2
They've
rounds
got to
for
get
2.
that out early. JW's going to hit every shot you give him from that window. So Flusha will catch MBK. Smiths does respond, but Tink down to 4 HP, and that fire, is it going to go far enough? No, he just gets away.
Jumping over just the edge of it. It still means he's so low, the Crims, it won't take much for him to kill off. In fact, they already just flagged the fact that he ran up there as Pronax shooting at him from Catwalk. In fact, they're going to throw the Molotov in there.
It's a little low.
Yep. So it doesn't reach that high ground. In fact, Smith's already in the corner. But they know exactly where he is, and JW's looking for the easy pick as Olaf aggressively pushing down to find Happy. There's a second one there if he's going to have a bit of a peek. Throws out the flash, but it's just a backup now. Hold together. You've got the HP advantage, and in fact, now you've got the player advantage. Smith's going to go down, and Kiyoshima, the last man left standing here for EnVy.
Does have the bomb. If he can pick off Olaf, he'll be able to at least get a plant for his team. You've got to be so careful.
Olaf's waiting for it. Like he's feeling the jump. He might have actually heard that drop down. There goes Kyo. Definitely hear the AK bullet going through his scalp.
Here
There's
it is.
Kyo.
He's
He'll
gonna
get
hold
the
this
plant at least. So it's not a complete loss for EnVy, but if he can hold this against both Crims and Pronax, it's such a huge round for EnVy because it means momentum.
Goes for that peek to check the site. He just has to stay patient, hold this off. Couldn't get over toward the A slope. He has to play this from CT. Not as quite a far reach for the CTs to force the issue as going all the way toward that A ramp. So he'll sit in the backside, but he's already caught off Pronax. That's 1 down, and it's on to Crims. Now Kiyoshima has full advantage, and EnVy might pick up 2 in a row, or do they? No, Crims. And that's exactly the point. That's why A ramp is so powerful. He couldn't get there. If he has to force that fight that far away from the bomb, he doesn't have time for the defuse. On CT, it's easy. Shot instantly on it. So Crims takes advantage of the positional play, but that was so close for Kiyoshima.
Well, he had the kit, so he had time, and Kyo, even having 2 flashes left at the end of this, and the fact you got the first kill here, like Pronax peeks out and doesn't take a single point of damage, so it was a pure 1-on-1. Even Stevens, and in fact the bomb was there for EnVy, so not as even. JW, again looking for these picks through the smoke. MBK, it's just like a broken record. The record is still playing quite clearly until he gets snapped in mid by JW. It's the same play every single time. To jump to the mid box, it's now JW looking for even more with the picks, and he's going to get Kiyoshima. And he knows they're coming down the ramp, taking a little bit of damage. They're banging through the window, just trying to keep him out of here. And JW, that smoke is starting to break out. Looks for the 3rd hit. Can't actually connect. Can't get the second one as well. And Smith, finally JW is going to do the work.
And JW's confident. You don't go for 3 peaks unless you are feeling it, and he just absolutely obliterates them at mid yet again.
But with Shoxy and Happy, they've managed to get in. They killed off Olaf as well as JW. So this A site's fairly well open. I say fairly well open. They still have to worry about the CT ramp. As Shoxy and Flusha end up in a little bit of a battle. There's a smoke to give Flusha some space. Okay, Shoxy.
Snacks flash. Flushes behind the wall, won't get caught by it.
And double flashes by Crims too. He's worried about, obviously Happy getting that kill over on Olaf on A side means that Fnatic know fairly well where he is, and Flush is going to finish the round. So 10 rounds to 3.
10 rounds already. I mean, that's huge. And again, we talk about that mid-smoke. It comes out late. NBK also didn't need to peek that after he threw it. Obviously, it's not going to be deployed that quickly, so he's giving himself up, and JW takes full advantage. At this point, I understand the approach. They don't want to throw it from CT spawn because they want to have more bodies in mid to contest Fnatic. That's where they're so powerful. Again, we talked about how they pick in numbers. You've got Catwalk, Connector, and JW. You can throw that from CT spawn. You don't even have to expose yourself. And then let your mid players get position, because right now, the approach they're taking is definitely not working. 3 rounds in a row, JW got an early pick.
There's a lot of noise coming out right now. Flush is calling most of it. Pronax just doing the little jump view. He wants to try and slow down the push from EnVy. That's why that Molotov's going to go to work in a moment. Actually, no, they're not coming in yet. EnVy still let move quickly. They're making so much noise into underpass. Now Pronax with the nade and the Molotov. He sees him 2 in close. Has to switch over towards the M4. Smith is looking the other way, looking towards short. The Smiths actually, wow, okay. They get through a couple, but Pronax still holding in tight. 10 HP he's down to, but he's lost 2 of his teammates. It's just pushed around for EnVy. It's at least getting some casualties. Shoxy and Keo working together, meaning the Crims is the last man left standing. That AWP is now in the hands of Happy. Shoxy is low. Missed flash by Crims.
And low money for Fnatic as well. So it's a debate right now. As Happy's going to lead off to Catwalk, he'll just play for post pick. So 1v1 first, and then Happy will play out the bomb, and it doesn't even matter. Happy's already found him.
Yeah.
And now they've got a chance to get their 5th because this forces Fnatic back. They will, obviously, it's the last round. They'll force out what they can, and they'll get a few rifles to boot, but Crims, not a lot of nades, no head armor.
Well, EnVy is
not even
armed
going
to
to
the
get a
teeth.
rifle out.
They got everything they want to right now on EnVy. So where's these mid picks? In fact, how does Fnatic even play this? Do we even have a bit of a peek? Crims is the one with the M4. But they're keeping him over on that A site. Well, the rest of them just find their CZs as well as 5.7s. And EnVy is actually giving a little bit more respect to the Fnatic. At the same time,
out.
that push up. Where's your respect from Olaf? Doesn't exist. Killing off Shoxy.
Happy does respond, though. Olaf does go down.
That's critical as well, because Olaf would have walked out of there with an extra rifle.
Exactly. That gun was in a securable position if he gets away, and the chase was well worth it. So they'll only have that 1 M4. Pronax is pushed up on B, though. That means if they do exit and head back over to A, he could run in behind and still get that gun. As Kiyoshima opens up JW, that's Palace. And now this gives a read to them. But what does Pronax do? He's still lurking inside the B apartments right now. He might get a free kill on Happy. That's an op. He's waiting to see if more are coming, but oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that was a little bit hairy. Nonetheless, he'll get the kill. Meanwhile, they do go in on the A site. Kiyoshima does find Crims in shadow. But they've got the op up. Is Pronax going to get there in time? Flush is already taking a lot of damage, and Bomb's already down.
Yeah, this retake is going to be really difficult. Pronax needs these early hits with the AWP. It's going to find MBK, but no, MBK gets the upper hand on him. And it's all up to the very injured CT Flusher on 13 HP. Jumps up, and the nade from Kiyoshima will wrap up that first half. 10 rounds to 5 in favor of Fnatic from their CT side.
And again, okay, they had 2 good rounds toward the end. One was an anti-eco, so to speak, a force out for the last round. But Kiyoshima and Smiths, or pardon me, Shox, never really came into it. We never saw their entries come on. And again, JW at mid annihilated them. The smokes weren't there. That was just, in my opinion, that was a quite poorly executed T side from EnVy. And now they've got to play it from the hard side. Again, Mirage. This is Fnatic. They're awesome on this map. And then we've also got Inferno coming up, which is... This series is only going to get harder if they can't pull out a magical comeback right now on EnVy's side. Because, again, Thorn said it, if they don't win this, it could go in 2 to Fnatic.
Well, they can do it on the back of a top fragger like Happy's. They managed to get 14 kills for the first half at EnVy. How do they open up here on CT side?
And he's doubled up on all his team. That's the other aspect. Somebody else needs to step up. I mean, that's a redundant statement, but who's it going to be is the bigger question, because now we're onto the CT side, and on the pistol's already underway. Olaf, Tech 9, Smith's down in window. That opens up middle. Happy's got to rotate backside events.
It also opens up Catwalk a lot too, so if EnVy believe they're coming into the A, which is in fact where that bomb is making its way in. Olaf just charging in. MBK is going to be there, but with also that Tech 9. Olaf knows he's got the power, going to reload, even though he only spent half of the clip. Wants to keep going. MBK brings him, Keo, he brings him down until MBK and Shoxy get back into the mix-up.
Oh, Happy's not going quietly, though. He caught JW, who went for the self-boost in toward mid, that jump from Catwalk, and he's already into the site.
That was quick.
As quickly as that, he catches Crims, so Happy. I said someone else needs to step up. Never mind, he's going to do it himself.
It's Happy versus Fnatic. That's all it really is at the moment.
So 3K for him. He'll hold the defuse, get this down, and now they've got a chance to at least make it close. They've got a chance to pull things back, but again, bomb plant in. See how Fnatic play it. We saw a very aggressive force buy in the second round from EnVy when they were on the T side. Fnatic doesn't look like they're going for the same. Okay, Tech 9 out, but no armor. Okay, I take it back. I lied. As soon as I talk, they cancel everything I said. They go for full armor and full Tech 9s.
Yep.
And CZ75s as well. So They aren't going to bother. They want to go in and get aggressive and try and put this to bed much quicker than EnVyUs wanted to.
But EnVyUs, they're the ones with the weapons advantage. In fact, Kiyoshima trying to get as much information as he possibly can around Palace. But this is that position, too, where if Fnatic try this, like, it could be wonderful if they can get past Kyo, but then Kyo has a quick look up into Palace. He's battling up against Olaf. He'll get the upper hand, which means now Fnatic know they have to look behind themselves as they come in, having to run backwards. JW sitting on top of the balcony, but it will be the plant down. That's what they were searching for. And in fact, Flusher able to get in very, very deep until he's brought down towards the jungle. He's happy banging through that smoke. A 2-on-3. Pronax and Crims, they're dropping very, very quickly, though. And it's all up to Pronax on 11 HP, and there's nothing he can do. They got the plant. The defuse will be there from EnVyUs. He'll at least save Tech9 and a little bit of his armor.
Oh, that's the intention. So he'll run it all the way over to B. They'll get this defuse. Kiyoshima picks up 3 with the SMG. That's significant as well, as his purse is going to get quite full. In fact, yeah, 5,800 for him to start off this round. And Fnatic still have to save.
Is that round 1 hit with Smith just bunny hopping it up. Trying to get as much information into that underpass as possible. But now EnVyUs, they're getting back-to-back rounds. And Fnatic taking a lot of time to get out of T-spawn. They're also still spending a lot of cash every single round. MBK gets the first vision. That's going to be Pronax on top of apartments.
And yeah, that's what I was kind of just peeking at, because they don't have a full money bonus going their way. They are spending a heck of a lot of investments on this, and it's a bit surprising on Fnatic's perspective.
Pronax already going down. Olaf scanning out the fact that Happy is just jumping around vent.
This is exactly the type of buying that cost them the game against TSM on the qualifier. We saw them start to do it yesterday.
He's come all the way up behind him. But then again, like, he's not quick enough. He's not quick enough with this. Or is he? JW is waiting for it, and there it is.
And picks up the rifle as well. Or does he? No, he's just going to stick onto the SMG. So that's what he'll grab from it for the Tech9 kill. And they'll group back up. And again, Fnatic, this is the type of buying that potentially costs them. It keeps them out of the game a whole lot longer. We're potentially going to look at 8 rounds here, but it's still not down. We're still on a 4-on-4, and HP advantage actually does favor onto Fnatic right now. They've secured an SMG to go along with that Galil and AK, and they are going to head toward NBK, who does have only 60 HP, does have the FAMAS to work with, and 2 flashes to delay. Happy's already getting into the underpass. Actually, Happy's got a great chance to get behind them right now.
Yeah, oh, NBK revealing 3. He needs to do this. That flash not going to bounce out. Happy will have to move quickly. Already Fnatic, they're onto the site. Pull up the M4 as JW is going to go for the flank. Kiyoshima, they've actually managed to get a nice little flank up right now, and that's going to be Happy Smith. They team the team up together, and Olaf, he at least will hold, pushing into a 1-on-1, but that's 100 HP versus 6.
And he's trapped in the corner. Kiyoshima knows exactly where he is, only 6 HP. He just has to hold the angle so carefully. Another flash does come out, tries to hit him on the jump shot. Hasn't found him yet, but he will.
And that means defuse. Kitten in hand as well. So quick timing for it, and EnVyUs now, 3 back-to-back rounds.
And at what point do Fnatic bite the bullet and just go for the full save? Again, they're in a position where they could force if they want to, but at what point do they just say, all right, guys, give it up? It's not going to be now, that's for sure. So again, they'll bring out Galil's, not even a full AK. They will get 3 of them this time at least, but I mean, if they lose this, we're looking at a tie game.
Yeah, they're just pushing so hard to try and just force these rounds up against EnVyUs, but EnVyUs have been so tight in their D so far.
In my opinion, I mean, it's almost giving the game back, because we could have had a full sustainable gun round at this point, op out for JW in middle by now.
You had the round advantage too, so it's not as though you're feeling pressured. And Fnatic?
So again, close smoke. That allows Olaf to slide out to the left side into the cubby. That covers off Catwalk while the 2 players that come up from underpass have a chance, but Happy's still waiting inside the window. Smoke does go out. That'll discourage him. Shoxy wants to rotate it around, but they need to still be careful on the other side of A.
Olaf just got the biggest kill he could have. So Happy's going to drop. He's really been doing so much work here for EnVyUs, and Crims as well, going to take out Kyo. So they're getting through Connector. Smith is there to defend it with that orb. Same time, he knows Crims is in the corner, and Crims also is very much aware of it, but he moved out so far that the support just came in from Flusher.
And meanwhile, it's all for naught. Bomb just gets dropped in on the B site. Crims still needs to be careful. It's a battle one-on-one with Shoxy, and he'll win it. JW won't have to find post-plant positioning. He'll just Coast out, let his teammate do the work. Now they've got a chance to buy out these rifles, and they'll stay ahead. So again, if they had lost that, they would have been in a position to see the tie game after this round. Now they'll get a little bit of a cushion, and because they have been getting good kills, that's the one good thing about these force buys. They had the firepower to get enough kills. It's an already broke, envious CT side.
Yeah, and they're just going for nothing but pistols. You can't afford anything else, which means it's going to be a heavier stack on the sites. And already JW opens up on Keo and mid-connector.
And that's why you wanted to get his op out.
It also gives them that extra hole. Like, you try and stack your players when you run your pistol rounds anyway, but when you're one player down, it's not enough to have two up against the AK.
Look at this lurk, though. Great lurk.
It feels like he's just looking for information more than anything else, though.
Well, that's the big thing. So good positional play right now. He's just going to wait. He knows they're coming. He's still up close, but Crims finds him. So down goes Shoxy, trying to push up toward A. enVy's has to read this quickly and get back on the A site. Smith's already down. That opens things up. So MBK and Happy have to do the task the hard way. And again, with only pistols, they're just basically going to look to get kills on the guns. And Olaf's already waiting for Happy on the horseshoe.
Yeah, he was waiting for the flank to come in.
I think NBK might actually, okay, no, he's going to go toward connector. Olaf's going to get in behind him. I think he just got spotted when he came around. Pronax gets the kill. I thought he was actually just going to rush down and take the one-on-one with Olaf rather than head into toward the site, at least get a rifle, but not to be, in Fnatic's on 12.
Yeah, they're looking good. They're looking good here in the first map. They were looking a little bit shaky, though, in this second half. But the money now is definitely with Fnatic and enVy's. They are going to buy up, but it's not that limited. We do have one scout plus the AWP as well, so they're actually going for the double range.
The interesting thing is that even with the force buys, they still only gave up the standard 3 rounds because they eventually picked one up, but it could have been a lot cleaner and a lot less risky in doing so, but we're essentially where we should be regardless. And again, with those bomb plants, it actually could have been sooner than that. So a lot of different buying going on, and Fnatic seem to be at the bulk of the force buys, kind of the old Cloud9 approach, just buy. Crims is going to go down this time to Smith, so that's going to start the round in enVy's advantage because they've already got Flusha before that.
Yeah. And then to try and push through connector, Olaf, well, he's going to at least stop one of them. That's going to be Smith's on that defense point. But there's more there. Pronax doesn't really know it. JW, he's actually got his back to Shoxy if he knew it, but JW's already now managed to move himself up into a bit of a tighter position now into the vents. Well, Fnatic, they got to decide where they bring this bomb plant. You could try and go into A. You are going up against the double range, both Scout as well as the AWP. The only way this is really going to work, though, is if you can at least find.
The problem is
you'd like to find Happy.
The problem is that Scout's in probably the best spot you could put it to be a jump scout. You're already using that position to jump anyway. Shoxy now is going to find Olaf Meister. That brings it down to only 2 players remaining, and they're quite split up. But JW's being a little bit cheeky right now. He may have been spotted on the way across, but he's still going to try and work out he was. Happy's already behind him. So it's just Pronax. He will soon meet his fate. Not going to go quietly, though. Already finds Shoxy. Keo has enough. He'll euthanize him. Brings enVy within 1 of double digits, but Fnatic are still comfortable here.
Yeah, they've still got enough money to do a proper buy in this round, while enVy's, they hold tight. They're dragging these rounds back bit by bit, and they're making Fnatic work so hard for this T half. And still, most of it's on the back of Happy. He's got 21 kills for his team so far. Such a big hit, and he's going to open up again, bringing down Olaf. JW waiting for the peek. JW's going to miss that shot on him, though.
Crims does trade out with Smiths. So at least they get 1 back, because if they had a fully lost mid there, the round was over pretty much immediately. JW would have just been countered by 3 players pushing onto him. Flush is now going to catch out Keo, so that brings it back. And the defense don't have a whole lot of position, because they had to retreat out of mid based on Crims' kills. So now it goes back to default play, and this actually starts to favor Fnatic. Not only do they have the man advantage, but they've spread the defense.
Yeah, and right now, enVy's can't really work out what side they want to be on. Like, you keep Shoxy, like, oh yeah, he's going to stay over on A, but Happy is basically in no man's land. He's not getting any kind of vision as well from his position back behind vents.
It is, okay, now they're spreading out entirely, but originally the approach to stay in connector is smart, because then you can take it with a 2-man retake immediately from jungle, or still get a quick rotate onto B. But instead, they'll go back to a more default setup in this position.
Fnatic's running out of time now. 36 seconds. They got to start making some solid movement towards the side.
And I actually thought the writing was on the wall based on Flush's position, but he's going to change it up, so they can still take whatever site they want at this point.
Yeah, but the looks of it, they actually want to head over towards B, but they're not sure about it. Crims Well, they managed to get up through connector, and there's a lot of noise being made now. Happy's hearing Flusher and JW just running in, but Shoxy, they've got to find his positioning so early, and Crims, well, he doesn't, he actually brings him down. So the man advantage is now gained by Fnatic and the bomb plant down. Happy with only 24 HP and a scout on MBK. That's not going to be enough. In fact, Flusher comes out and drops down Happy. So it's all up now to MBK. And there's very little he can do here apart from maybe hold that scout.
They're going to hunt him. I don't know if they've got enough time to get all the way around, but Flusher still wants to do battle.
Well, MBK's running out to him, so that saves them the problem of looking for him. So Flusher does get the kill. And Fnatic push now their 13th round. Up against 9 for EnVy.
And this is dire, because again, they go for that force out with that scout. Now they're back to just pistols. Fnatic, JW's hop up. Where do they go with it, though? Not standard play right now. And actually, Shoxy with the deagle. One deagle onto Flusher. That closes off a ramp. They're also going to get aggressive on the back of this, so they'll be able to funnel out the offense. And this is where EnVy get very scary. So they secure, okay, they don't push all the way through. They secure the AK, but regardless, man advantage and information gained on a pistol save from EnVy.
I love
and
that.
This is where they play in your mind at this point, because you start to fall apart. They just find the picks that they need, and Pronax at least cancels back, but there you go. NBK's going to find another.
Yeah, he's using that little position. It's so difficult to see him as you come through apartments. From Fnatic. They're going to be so careful. They've got to get these initial hits. Happy's already have a bit of a spam through the top of apartments. It was all smoked up. Olaf's not getting any kind of joy in the rotator out from A. He's actually more worried about what's coming over on Catwalk, which is where Kiyoshima is going to have a bit of a peek. Olaf gets the advantage there, then onto the window as well. A twofer. And Fnatic, they're going to move up, but at the same time, Smiths, he's already prepared for all of this.
They need to find him quick. The good news is they're coming in a position where they can trade, but they need to be careful not to come in too quickly. Too grouped up. Luckily, Olaf does check off the off angle, and Smiths gets caught. So bomb plant's going to come out. Happy has to come the long way around. Does have the op to work with. But again, post plant position. Olaf's in it. He's inside that spot that we've talked about so many times is so strong, and Pronax going to fan out the opposite way. So this divides Happy completely.
I love how in the meantime there's a nice little conversation between JW as well as EnVy about where the hell were you on top of that B bomb site. You can check the replay later. Olaf, well, he's got his arms open waiting for Happy, and Happy's actually going to just walk into him. Gives the AWP over, and Fnatic now claimed their 14th round, 2 rounds away from taking the victory here in map number 1. And that wait from Olaf. Kira walks out, quick moving onto the window. And MBK kind of made that a little bit easier for him.
They did invest a lot into that, though, keep in mind. So EnVy did get a lot of guns down on their semi-eco. They're forced buying out of the pistols. So they had to rebuy out on Fnatic's side. That means they do have potential to still break them and get back into it. But they have to do that first. That's the hard part. And JW's not going to make it any easier.
And that was so much patience from him. He got fully flashed, but kept his eye on that corner of jungle. And gets rewarded with the frag of Smiths. Shoxy saw Flusher for a moment. You can be pretty damn certain he saw him as well. So Fnatic know that EnVy is having more of a forward defensive position up here on the A side. Yeah, but that's why the nades fly in as well as the flash. Shoxy forced to turn his back.
The only thing they weren't sure of, the reason they didn't go for that peek is because they don't exactly know where Kiyoshima's angle is, and they didn't have a smoke out to block him off, so they might have been caught pursuing that up-close kill, but the damage from the nades enough.
Olaf is making so much noise, but he's actually managed to drag 3 defenders out from that, but at the same time, Fnatic, they're not going to be able to capitalize.
Well,
in fact, Olaf is still just winning the game by himself by getting kills.
But look at this push. Shox again getting information, and he's got to be so careful because Olaf's doing the job over at B. He gets caught. Okay, if he got in behind them and dropped the bomb, that would have turned things around. Instead, it's all left to Happy, and Olaf, what a round, finally gets silenced, but he's done more than his number because Fnatic can walk in easily and get this bomb plant.
And with Happy revealing his position, it means that, yeah, an easy movement, a very, very easy movement. And what does Happy even do now? You're staring down the barrel of the 15th round win for Fnatic. Do you play for the draw? Is that all you can really do here? It kind of feels like it, but JW's on the hunt.
Well, at this point,
and they definitely should. They've got to get this AWP out of his hands.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're not going to be able to afford much at all in the next round.
Happy.
We've only got 2 rounds going against them, so they don't have much of a money bonus at all.
There's the shot through the wall, but JW does the same. The advantage goes to JW. The AWP is dropped, and EnVy Look at that money. It is so sparse for EnVy. So this should be a very simple round for Fnatic unless something goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Spend, spend, spend. Where's NBK's scout? He's got to go for it. This is the exact position when he should. And there it is. Okay, so he does bring it out with the head armor. We saw them win a couple of rounds yesterday against NiP with this exact buy. But this one's for the map. They got the early pick on the last time they attempted. They got a lot of guns down, but they weren't able to capitalize and take it away. That's how Fnatic stayed in this. Smiths is going to get up close on Sandwich. In fact, very aggressive play right now on the A site, but Fnatic spread out. They want picks.
MBK getting pretty close to JW on that pop, but he's got such a slither to get the shot off right.
Olaf needs to be quick and careful. That smoke's going to slowly dissolve inside the window, and Happy's sitting there waiting off. NBK, meanwhile, does get one with the scout. That's JW. Pronax immediately responding. NBK caught.
But at this point, that's still the only weapon that isn't a pistol that EnVy was owning.
Oh, significant. A lot of the rounds they won on NiP, it wasn't just because they had this buy. It was because that scout either got a kill or did a number of tags on players. So with it off the map, that increases the chances massively. And although JW's down, there's not a lot of HP lost otherwise. And look at the defense. Happy is trying to get a reconnaissance mission going successfully out toward the horseshoe, but that leaves Shox.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be doing that.
By his lonesome.
Oh, well, there goes Shox. See, Crims will take him down while Pronax into a battle with Kiyoshima. Look behind you, Pronax, though.
They need to make this call now. Okay, they do. So on Pronax's death, based on the fact that it's not only a kill from Smith, but the assist from Kyo, they know there's at least 2 on that side, so they'll be able to get this bomb down. The good news is that Happy's still in quite a good position if he catches them off, but Olaf's going to get Smiths. This is down to just 2 players left. They have picked up that scout. They've recovered it. And Happy's going to go even longer than that. He's going around the complete wrong direction as Smiths is going to get tagged up. Kiyoshima down, and it's all left to Happy for map number 1 as Fnatic look to wrap this up. Not even double digits for Team EnVy. Happy does get one. That's with the pistol, and Crims catches him. So 16-9, Sweden up over top of France in map number 1. And again, a slow start from EnVy really set the tone because then it was quite back and forth. And the picks, the entries on the T side, Kiyoshima and Shox need to step it up big time.
Man, that was... That right there just shows right now that Fnatic, they're looking so good in this game. We didn't know what was going to happen with Fnatic obviously dropping down the lower bracket. Were they going to be feeling very unsettled for it all? But it looks like they're looking great.
The writing was on the wall for this tournament that, yeah, these 2 teams were probably going to meet. We're going to have good matches all the way through. A lot of people look at this and say, wow, these 2 teams are playing and one of them's going home first. That's not actually that. I mean, when you look at it, TSM has had good results against Fnatic. There was a chance this was going to happen.
Yep.
The upset so far is that NiP actually took EnVy, and now we get this matchup a little bit sooner. But that's the nature of these 4 teams. This is why this tournament's going to be amazing the whole way through. But that said, we'll hand it over to the analyst desk, and they'll break it down a little bit further because map 2 is coming up, and EnVy has to respond.
So we certainly will try and break it down, although it kind of went as we expected. First thing I want to say is, I mean, the crowd have been great here, but I saw a sign which I definitely appreciate. I'm presuming it was from a Fnatic fan. It said, "Clutch my baguette." Can you shed any light on that, perhaps? Analyze that sign.
No.
I don't get the reference. I don't know what it
it's
could
a
be.
message for NBK.
From maybe his girlfriend's in the audience. Anyway.
Maybe someone wants to make him their girlfriend.
Oh, that too. Yeah. So look, let's break that down. Like I said, I think it went the way that we all presumed. I mean, like EnVy got off to a real slow start. That doesn't surprise me at all with everything that went down last night. Obviously, they were involved in that ridiculous, epic game. And you can see that the people that we highlighted that we thought were going to do well in these stats
I mean, if you remember my 2 players, Rich, I said if Crims is really on and he has that classic Crims performance, which he did, that's the lockdown CT side. But then for T side, the guy I felt had to do it for EnVy was Shox, and he's there on 9 kills.
Yeah.
In theory, can be one of the absolute best entry fraggers in the world, and he couldn't get anything done on this map.
But not only that, I mean, I think he looked, you know, like, I don't know if mentally he was right in the right place. There were several close-ups at various points where he just looked to be like, yeah, this isn't going to happen for us today. And I think what's interesting is Fnatic was so confident, they even said, we don't mind delaying the game. If you know, we'll happily play later in the day to give EnVy enough time to prepare and get woken up and everything. They were supremely confident of winning whatever. So, I mean, they've reset mentally from yesterday, but what happened with TSM, I think we can see at this juncture. I also want to point out as well, MBK, we were just talking a little bit about there, only managed 10. And it's been Happy, really, And that has dragged EnVy's kind of kicking and screaming through the tournament so far. Another amazing performance from him, and it's crazy that he's looking like the most complete all-round player in a team that are going to struggle to not finish last, Narty.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get further than this if it's only Happy doing the fragging with the caliber of players they have. But I mean, you gotta hand it to Fnatic with their performance. I think a key thing here is that they have much more time to reset themselves as well, as we just spoke, and that's going to be a factor there. And I mean, JW, Crims, all of Meister, they were all all of Fnatic were just spot on with their plays. I
mean, all of Meister had some incredible clutches as well, but I mean, his aim was looking really good at the moment.
Well, that's the thing. It really was like a classic performance from Fnatic, because here's the thing. You look at Crims' stats here. That's insane to have a 2.36 kill to death ratio. That's utterly insane. You watch the game, you would have never noticed that he was the star. Like, he never did anything crazy, because that's not Crims' game. It's like just a consistent style, getting the obvious kills. Now, you watch the game, you'd have thought JW dominated it. All his kills were like the party piece, like pop out an AWP guy here, go where the guy knows you're going to be, but outshoot him anyway. That's like the classic style of, like, Crims is just like the ultimate team player. He's not the star in the sense that he's going to get like the highlight round. Like, there'll be no clip on HLTV.org of what Crims did in that game, but he was just, every round he was there, and at the end of the score, he's at the top of the scoreboard, and he actually is like the backbone of your win. And then you add in, if this trio does well, I don't know if I've ever seen Fnatic lose.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say as well, we talked yesterday about Mirage and how mid-control was important. Duncan's alluded to it there. JW was just smashing heads in mid. I mean, absolutely just picking anyone off that he saw. And that's the JW that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing player there in the window, and you know, when he hits those shots, it's going to be that much harder. I mean, he's going to get in his opponent's heads really easy when he keeps hitting those shots. And then when you're playing against him, you're going to be like, all right, how are we going to adjust our play? And then you're going to do a bit of a different thing, and it's not working even then. And then, you know, it comes into a spiral where, like, nothing's working for you, and confidence is going down the drain.
So now we need to talk a little bit just about Inferno. Obviously, that's going to be the next map that's coming up. Uphill battle, I think, for EnVy at this point. Obviously, we don't want to harp on too much about it. But they are tired. They are mentally exhausted. They're physically exhausted as well. They've just been beaten on a map, and now they've got to play Fnatic on a map that we're saying Fnatic are the best in the world on. It's a horrible scenario.
That is why it's a unique map, though, because on one hand, Fnatic are the best in the world. I don't think you can really dispute it, but EnVy have found ways to beat them before. So I feel like this is still an interesting matchup, because it's one where every time it's happened, part of me tells myself, because I know they are, in theory, the best on it, how can they lose to one team on it? But there's something special about the way EnVy play this map at the moment. I know they are very strong on it, but it's just looking at the way map 1 went, I don't know who's going to be the guy who's going to help them out in this map, because it can't just be Happy. This happens a lot of times in their losses. Happy will have 20+ kills, but they have no chance to win the game. They're not high-impact kills. For me, whenever EnVy is at their best, it has to be Kiyashima and Shox.
Yeah.
Because they are the entry men, they get them the T-side rounds, and it just makes the game very easy. Then they can call whatever they want, then they can buy whatever they want. The thing is, those force buys, it looks when they're doing it and they're getting all the kills, like, oh, the game's broken, you just buy any pistol you want, you get the kills. Well, if you don't get the kills with those weapons, you just completely destroy your economy. You actually give yourself less real gun rounds in the game. So you're going to lose halves like that, where you only get 3 or 4 rounds, even if you're an amazing T-side team. So for me, it still has to be these entry fraggers that step up in the next game if EnVy are going to get to a third map. And at the moment, it looks like they won't.
So Duncan's talking about the entry fraggers needing to raise the game. Is there anything you think can be done, Natu, for EnVy to turn this series around on its head and at least get to overpass, which, again, wouldn't be relishing the prospect?
Yeah, I mean, the hard part right now is for them to keep their confidence. I mean, that's going to be the part one, the first priority right now. And after getting that smashing on Mirage, it's hard with all the circumstances they're going to be playing with. But that's going to be their key, to just keep their composure and keep up the straight-up plays they like to play and hit their shots. That's going to be their only lifeline here.
So there we go. Well, look, guys, again, thanks a lot for your thoughts. We're going to go to a break now, and we'll come back and talk a little bit about Inferno. Again, it's been a great series. It is the matchup that we wanted to see, but certainly not what you want to see if you're an EnVy fan at the moment. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. Don't go too far. We'll be right back with a second map of this series of the PGL CSGO Championship.
That
out the grenade. Gonna be in a really great position. Crims from in tight. From inside the shadow takes one, takes two, takes three. JW will also mop up Smith and Happy again. The last man standing for 2 rounds in a row. Battling in the mid up against Flusher, but the Pro 90 comes out on top. Needs to get that kill on Crims.
NBK though, he's the one that comes in and aggressively, but look at the counter play from Fnatic. JW, Flusha make it now 2 for JW on the assist, and Flusha cleans up Kiyoshima as well.
Earl's waiting for it. He's feeling the jump. He might have actually heard that drop down. There goes Kyo. Definitely hear the AK bullet going through his scalp. There's Kyo. He'll get the plant at least. So it's not a complete loss for EnVy, but if he can hold this against both Crims and Pronax, it's such a huge round for EnVy because it means momentum.
Goes for that peek. Check the side. He just has to stay patient, hold this off. Couldn't get over toward the A slope. He has to play this from CT. Not as quite a far reach for the CTs to force the issue as going all the way toward that A ramp. So he'll sit in the backside, but he's already caught off Pronax. That's 1 down. It's on to Crims. Now Kiyoshima has full advantage, and EnVy might pick up 2 in a row, or do they? No, Crims. And that's exactly the point. That's why A-Ramp is so powerful. He couldn't get there. If he has to force that fight that far away from the bomb, he doesn't have time for the defuse. On CT, it's easy. Shot instantly on it, so.
Kicks through the smoke. NBK, it's just like a broken record. The record is still playing quite clearly until he gets snapped in mid by JW. It's the same play every single time. To jump to the mid box, and now JW looking for even more with the picks, and he's going to get Kiyoshima.
Is the bigger question, because now we're onto the CT side, and on the pistol's already underway. Olaf, Tech 9, Smith's down in window. That opens up middle.
Kiyoshima, they've actually managed to get a nice little flank up right now, and that's going to be Happy Smith. They team the team up together, and Olaf is going to have a bit of a peek. Olaf gets the advantage there, then onto the window.